I believe where I left off was that God pretty much had a kingdom which is considered the vineyard, which he had already leased out to the farmers. Um, we sit up here and we talk about the serpent, but the serpent was actually a servant. If you sit up there and you basically read in the New Testament, God had a vineyard. He would send his disciples, he would send his prophets, he would send his evangelists, he would send um, disciples, disciplines, all kinds of people to this vineyard to reap a harvest and to tell of the goodness of God. As he's sending them to his kingdom and to this vineyard, the ones over that vineyard began to abuse the servants that God sent. Now, I don't know if I ever told you this. One time I took the IQ test. My IQ was so low because I was going through a time of being docile, no void, no mindset, energy, no nothing. For one who comes from that, I seek out the wisdom constantly because there is no way that I could look at myself nowadays and say, okay, I took the test and I felt like my IQ was 1 when I took that test. It was so deplorable till it was ridiculous that I could not think, I could not focus, I could not concentrate. But when we tell you that you are surrounded by sinners, demons, ungodliness, a lot of people cannot receive what the righteous is saying because they're not understanding, because you are null and void to the deception and the deceit of the ungodly. And so God began to send his servants. And if you read in the New Testament, it tells you this. But this New Testament is parallel to the Old Testament. Because if I tell you that the serpent was a servant, you wouldn't believe me. But that serpent who gave Eve wisdom was actually a servant of God. And what they would do back then, they would break the backs of the servant and make it crawl on its belly. You know, if your back's broke, your legs don't work, and you would have to crawl on your belly if you're a man. And this is what they was doing to the prophets of God. On your belly you shall go. And if you are the type of person that know back then grass wasn't as flamboyant as it is now or plentiful as it is now, so you would be dust and dirt will come in your face because they don't like the word of God being preached in ungodly places. So from a person that's been null and void, take it from me, when wisdom is given and intercession comes, you don't take it lightly. So this is what took place. But the demons were pretending to be God. The unrighteous that had taken over the vineyard, who God gave that vineyard to and said, watch out for my children, they begin to do ungodly things. Sometimes you got people right now in church and God has given them a church and they have given them God has given you a ministry. God has given you the finances for that ministry. Then you become predatory. God don't run your house no more. God don't run the church no more. God don't run nothing no more. You run everything. And this is why we go through these type of problems. So when it says it was a serpent that it walked on 4 legs, it walked on 4 legs. It's just telling you that a man stood upright. But they told you that story in there for a reason, because it will line up to the story. If you ever heard about the serpents, because some of them they beat, some of them they sodomize, You know, it has to be something for them to sodomize somebody, because I'm going to be real with you. When you sit up there and you talk about Sodom and Gomorrah, the wicked city, as soon as the angel walked in, they followed the angels to the Lot house. Yeah, we want to get to know him. We going to sleep with him. Now, why? Mark your words. This Lot was the keeper to that city. What state was Lot in? He had to been real dumbfounded. But when God began to intercede and he seen righteousness, he knew righteousness, he knew from which they came, that he would say, come into me, come into my home, turn into my home so that you can be safe through the night. You cannot walk these streets or they will sodomize you. You can't walk this late at night. Have you ever heard people say when the street lights come on, you don't need to be out? At a certain time at night, you don't need to be out. Anything that's out at 1 o'clock at night and they ain't going to work, or they ain't trying to get to work or something like that, it's some sodomizing going on or some ungodliness going on with that. So when we begin to develop as the people of God, we have to be careful, because you might end up like Lot. Lot was a man of God. He's a man of God. You came from Abraham, who was supposed to also be a man of God. But here you are, keeper of a wicked city. And a lot of our commissioners are the same thing. They're men of God, but you keepers of unclean cities. You're doorkeepers of unclean cities. Lot, how long will you keep these cities? Because at some point, God must remove you in order to intervene and deal with that city. So a lot of people didn't know this and stuff like that. But at the same time, I'm saying it so that you can understand in which these things came. When you sit up there and you hear him say to Adam, Adam has become like one of us. Knowing what? Good and evil. Adam has became like one of us. Interesting. How did Adam become like one of y'all? How did Adam become like you all? What was Adam doing that made him? This is right after he sinned. And the servants say, eat of this tree so that you may gain knowledge and understanding. So Adam did eat. Eve did eat. And their eyes was open because they didn't even know they were naked. How many of you can I tell you in this season that my body lay dormant and motionless, a corpse they call it, unable to move, but there is still life in it? For they have pronounced me dead, but yet and still I live. And yet and still there is life in me. But they have called me and have pronounced me a corpse and pronounced me and have left me for dead. But yet and still I have life. For in the moment that I ate of God, surely I died. In the moment that I gained wisdom, surely I must die. But I gained life in the moment that I recognized God, because I gained wisdom. I gained wisdom when I started to choose God. My eyes are still compromised, but I'm starting to notice they open because I choose God. I didn't even know I was naked. I remember a man being on top of me, raping me. I'm laying in my bed. I'm at my house. I'm laying in my bed, and I remember, I was laying on a sofa. and I'm pregnant with my child, my last daughter. I was pregnant with her, and I remember a man on top of me raping me. I blanked out, and I wasn't able to call the police. I came back to, went to work like nothing was going on, and had been raped and unable to report. I remember laying in my bed, and one man grabbed my foot. Person grabbed my foot. Another one grabbed my hands, attempting to rape me. I blanked out again. This is 2 incidents in the same home. Third incident was me sitting up there, and I was in that same house, and I was sitting up there, and I was just watching TV and just minding my own business. Something pulled me down like they pulled Diamond from the Players Club and tried to sodomize me. And I blanked out, and it was like as if nothing had happened. But something happened. They don't want these stories out. They don't want me to tell of their deceptive behaviors. A lot of you guys are going into witchcraft, and you're serving all these idol gods, and these idol gods ain't doing nothing but deceiving you, because they're nothing but man taking on demonic roles. You ain't really seen the demons yet. You've seen man take on demonic roles. And the reason why you haven't seen the demons yet, because the demons hide behind them. You ain't really seen the demons yet. The demons are hidden. They using man right now to do the dirty work. They're using man to sit up there and take over. And I'm going to tell you something. Be careful, innocent people of God. Be careful, because we're going to church every day amongst wolves. We're going to church every day amongst predatory people. We're going to church every day amongst people who want to say that you are their children. And they don't even know what "you are my children" means. When they say you are their children, you're going to do their bit. They have a scepter and a right to puppeteer you and compel you and to force you into certain behaviors. So a lot of us is in church, but we didn't know that what we in church up under serves a dark lord and an ungodly person. Because that's what they say they is. They dark lords and they're ungodly people. And they say anybody that brings order. And these are their exact words. And if you don't believe me, read the Fallen Angels. Exact words quoted in the book. Because as soon as you start out with it, it's going to give you a whole bunch of different books that you can read. If you know what to look for, then it'll be given to you. If you don't know what to look for, then it's not given to you. Because in the day you eat of this tree, you shall surely know good and evil. And that I was gifted with. Where I knew what to look for, where to go and get the information from, and what was what. How, I don't know. I must say that it probably happened during one of these ciphering moments where they had me out here living trifling and ungodly under demonic possession. Thank God there was some righteous person that interceded and was able to deliver